Hi, this is Drew Tignanelli. This is our October 2025 update with Michael P.
Always
How are
happy to
you?
be here. I'm good, and I want to take the opportunity to congratulate you and Bev on 43 years of marriage.
Well, yeah, that was a couple weeks ago, and but we have our update pulse to do. Mike, I watch these pulse videos when they come out. Just like when our clients get it, I get it, and I
Yep.
watch it again. And you know what I noticed? I noticed that I am the most fidgety person you could ever imagine. And you just sit there like, you know,
Well, I'm
and I'm thinking
concentrating on our outline.
you're concentrating, but I'm fidgety and I know that we have a lot of clients that are teachers or were teachers, I should say, retired teachers. And I'm bet anything that a few of them have looked at the videos and said, "Boy, I'm glad I didn't have him in my school when I was." Because I was not the best student on earth. I could get great grades, but sitting in class wasn't my thing. But anyway, Mike, let's get going here.
Sounds
Financial
good.
planning for those over 80 years of age, or actually we call it now 70, 75 years of age. We have an advisor in our firm, Peter Geyer, who's decided this is going to be his niche. And he chose this because he sees, so many of his family members are older, aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc. And as he's been working with us, he said, I've noticed all these things. And I said, yeah, I could give you a whole ton of them, that you need to be thinking about to maximize family wealth efficiency and generational wealth planning and minimize invisible losses because at this age 70 to when you pass away, that's the time you can make critical mistakes in tax planning and estate planning that can cost the family large sums of money. So this is
And,
this is really exciting.
well, and I think you've skipped over one of the key parts here. That's the article of the month that
Yeah, well,
written by you. So you've gotten a little
that was my
outline to start people
fidgetiness
off.
there. My fidgetiness was talking about it without actually saying that that's the article of the month.
That's the
So,
article of the month. And then we've got a great webinar coming out this month, Why Claiming Social Security at the Wrong Time Can Ruin Your Retirement. Now, for all of our longtime clients, you'll notice our titles for our videos are getting a little bit more extreme. We've actually noticed that if we do that, more people watch them. So if they seem to be a little bit more catchy, we're just trying to get more people to watch them. And with that, if you watch one of our videos on YouTube and you think it's good quality content or helpful information, we'd love for you to share it with a friend.
yeah. Anyway, so markets going up still. It seems like you just
Yeah,
put your money in the markets and you make money. That's all there is to it. Obviously that's not going to last forever. We have no idea. It
right.
could be 6 months, it could be 6 years, it could be 60 years for all I know.
Well, and
But
this isn't part of our article, but one of the things as you say that's important to point out is times like this when markets are going higher and higher and higher, it's a great time for you to identify a future cash need. Hey, I know 6 months from now I'm buying a new car. Hey, I know 8 months from now I got to pay my kids' tuition. Whatever it might be, it's always good when markets are sitting new highs to at least let something that's within the 1 year time period to sit it off and let it earn now 3.75% at Flourish because kind of the market news of this week or this month is that the long anticipated rate cut has came, or at least an initial one. Federal Reserve cut rates by 0.25%. Drew, not really enough to do much, is that?
uh, you know, Powell is not my favorite Federal Reserve chairman. And 0.25 was, everybody already anticipated it. So it doesn't do anything to the economy as a whole because it's already been anticipated that they'd at least do 0.25. Me personally, I think rates need to be down more like 3%, 3.5%, 3%. And but I don't think it's going to impact the long rates as much as people are hoping for. I hope they do, but unfortunately, my optimism on that is not high.
So,
And
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
So
I
one
was
of
just
the
saying, go ahead.
so one of the things we do is we look at what the Federal Reserve chairmen say in the release notes and try to anticipate what they're trying to communicate rates will be by the end of the year. But then we're looking at other aspects of the market, bond rates and futures and things like that, and trying to decide what does the market think rates are going to be. And at the moment, there's a bit of a disconnect where the Federal Reserve is kind of communicating that it might be around 3.6% by the end of the year. Markets are, acting like it's going to be closer to 3.
Yeah. And, both could be right and both can be wrong all at the same time.
Right. And as you said, Drew, if markets came down towards that 3 level or something there or lower, that could actually begin to have an impact on what has been most affected, which is mortgage rates. And a lot of people want to see those mortgage rates come back down so that housing, rotation can kind of get picked back up again.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be nice to see mortgage rates come down. I think they could be down to 5.5, 5.25, something like that. But markets are being very tentative with that because of the way the Fed is being. So it's going to be interesting to see. But another point that you're making is that the tariffs so far have not been overly impacting prices in the consumer marketplace. Not too much.
They
They
haven't.
are.
So the point we were going to make is we do this and just try to pull out a couple things for the viewers each month to highlight is a lot of businesses are trying to absorb some of the short-term effects of the tariffs and other things that are causing prices to go up on the products that they sell and produce. So at the moment, there's a little bit of erosion in profit margins on companies. So that's one of the things we're keeping an eye on and watching and seeing if long term will they absorb those costs or over time will they start to push them onto the consumer. Drew, I know you recently saw tariffs on wine.
Well, that's true. I got a guy over in Italy that sends me some Amarone when I need some more, and he tells me about the tariffs he has to pay. But you know what? He's been absorbing those tariffs, so
Okay.
I don't know how he does it, but I'm sure it's possible. But sooner or later, most businesses will have to have to begin. And what they like to do, Mike, is they like to not show it right at the time, but in the next few months or so, they will raise it. But the beauty of tariffs is that it's only a one-time thing. It's not
Yeah.
something that will happen forever and ever and just keep going up 10% per year or 5% or whatever. It's a one-time thing. If it does happen, it happens, and then it stabilizes
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens. I'm not worried about inflation. I mean, I'm sorry, tariffs. I'm more concerned about why the Federal Reserve is not encouraging more expansion of businesses, and that's what we need. And I also don't like the administration not encouraging more immigration, legal immigration, Mike. Legal immigration is important to our country, and both sides have it wrong. Illegal immigration is
Yeah.
wrong, and no legal immigration of any significance. You can have some, but that's not helping us if you don't do significant immigration. We need that for the Social Security system. We need that for our workforce. We need it to keep inflation under control. These are things that we could be doing. Both sides have that wrong.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to something more positive. October
You don't
is
think that was
National.
positive?
I don't know. Just let me keep moving. October is National Financial Planning Month. And one of the reasons I think October is National Financial Planning Month, although it was just one of the
That
organizations in our
mean our
industry.
clients should be sending us a gift? Send your
Yeah,
financial planner a gift
Christmas
month.
for financial advisors. Um, well, October is a great month to consider your year-end tax matters before things get busy. Everybody, November, December, you've got tons of holiday stuff, family gatherings, things like that. We're enough through the year that we can look back and try to assess, have there been any major changes we need to address in our tax planning? The biggest one, you know, has there been any major change to your income, whether it's higher or lower? Um, if it's higher, you might want to consider an increase to your quarter four estimated tax payment, or even if it's higher, you might even want to just withhold more on an end of year IRA distribution.
Well,
Um,
but you also, if you have a client that, and one of our clients is irregular income because, their income does this because they might be on commissions or they might have a business
right?
that, you really need to be doing estimated tax analysis with us. We're going to be contacting you, but you should be proactive also saying, hey, I want that. I need that. Can you do an estimated tax analysis for me so that I know where we're at? Um, it's critical, you
Yeah.
know?
Especially if it's not something that you're having happen every year. If you're having it happen every year, a lot of times we're cognizant of that. If it's a something new, we won't know. But there's other things that we can do if you have maybe a regular low income. Maybe it's time to look at Roth conversion. We're not going to go over what all of these things are. We've put so many videos out where we've explained these things in detail. We're just trying to key onto your mind what things in the month of October should I be thinking about.
Roth conversions, even clients that don't have irregular income, maybe they had a situation where they'd like to look at Roth conversions, estimated tax analysis. We need to be doing that. If
Yeah.
you think a Roth conversion is something you want to do, maybe you've moved to a lower tax state and you need to start thinking about Roth conversions.
Well,
Charitable, this is a big time to start thinking about your charitable giving.
and one of the things I was going to emphasize with the Roth conversion is that, it's complicated. That's why we're here. That's why we wanted to talk to you about it. Because what if you're in Maryland now, but next year, you're moving to a state with no income tax? Well, we want to wait to do the Roth conversion. But yeah, charitable giving, it's a great time of year to look out and decide, what are my plans, how much, and then work with your advisor to figure out what's the most tax efficient way to get that done.
Yeah, well, this is an important point that you're making, and that is that we need to be reaching out to our clients, but the clients need to be reaching out to us also at the same time. My doctor can't tell when I'm having health issues, He needs me to call him to tell him he can say to me, "Hey, I want to do your physical and it's for June or July." But, I have to be proactive with my doctor, just as our clients have to be proactive with us, saying, hey, can we do this? This would be very helpful right now.
And then something that we kind of skipped over there is, you're towards the end of the year. Not everybody can do this, but if you can kind of say, well, I know my income's not going to be too high. I know I'm going to be able to do it. And I normally do my Roth contribution. It can be, if you know, or you can work with your advisor to know, it might be good to get that done now rather than wait till December or later to do it. The other thing that I think is really, good by this point in the year to look at is reflect on your prior year spending, and as you plan for next year, decide if you have any feelings, positive or negative, towards any of your spending in the past year, and use that as you start planning things for the year upcoming.
Sure, absolutely. And this is at the end of the year is when you have to do your required minimum distribution if you haven't done it. And you really, and this year, for people who inherited an IRA, they've got a new quirk where you might have to be taken out a small amount where you've been forgiven for that for the last 4 years. Now you have to take out a small amount, and this is the first year of that. It may not be an easy number to calculate for the average Joe. So got
Right.
to keep that in mind.
Another big thing for this year is that we had that new tax law go through, and that tax law has a lot of things that hinge on where your end of year adjusted gross income on your tax return is. And if we look at it now and do some planning, for some people, we might be able to manipulate things to get the AGI low enough so that you get some additional credit or deduction. So that's always something good to talk to your advisor about.
Yeah, and there are some really quirky new things about this tax law, such that like for example, if your income's under 150,000, you get this new $12,000 deduction That may be a great opportunity to do a Roth conversion, Mike, for some people, because your income, by doing a Roth conversion, your taxation will be the same as last year, but now you got 12,000 sitting in a tax-free Roth, and it didn't cost you anything more than the year before. But it's unique. It's unique people are going to be able to do this, single or married. It will depend on whether you're 100,000 or 150. You need to be talking to your advisor with this new tax law.
So we got a
Anyway, you
couple.
got some other special things
We've
here.
got a couple special notes. One of them, Drew and I were working with a client earlier this morning, and it was a little tip that we've known for a long time, but we haven't talked about in a while. So if you are into travel and traveling abroad, one of the harder parts is exchanging currency or getting currency. And for clients who have Schwab Investor Checking, they can take their ATM card almost anywhere in the world and get a fairly decent exchange rate when taking money out of ATMs
And no fees.
with no fees because they'll
Yeah.
reimburse the fee if
They
you
reimburse
have.
all the fees. Yep, absolutely. Um,
And go ahead.
Another one for traveling, we didn't, is that I think it's very important that you consider travel insurance if you're going to be gone for any extended period of time,
Mhm.
say 2 weeks or a week or two. I would consider travel medical insurance so that if God forbid something happens, there's a way to get emergency help immediately, get you to wherever you need to be to get care. Now, your Medicare and your Medigap may cover it, and that's great, but this will just give you extra tools to get the care you immediately need, even a jet to take you home, if that's what's most important.
Or worse, or a helicopter off of a cruise ship.
There you go. That happens too,
That happened to one of our clients a number of years ago, and it was like a $40,000 bill.
Yeah.
So I've got one last piece of really exciting information. Our client portal will be getting an upgrade. That's going to be coming in the next month or so. But keep an eye out. We're about to put out a video that kind of explains to you, the new portal. All the documents will move over. Everything will move over. Um, some of our information that was being pulled from third-party sources, that feature was working so poorly that it's been removed. It's just if you want to put everything in one place, it might be better to just manually input those values. But that video will be coming out. We're also going to be working on the mobile app, but that's taking a bit more time. So exciting things moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I think we're out of time, Mike.
I believe so.
And you were, and I was. Anyway, this is Drew Tignanelli saying God bless.